Special kind of stupid. You're a special kind of stupid. You're a special kind of stupid when you say. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of A Special Kind of Stupid. All right, so a common Muslim objection that I hear to the accuracy of the Bible is they say when Jesus was killed on the cross that there was an earthquake and an eclipse and all that kind of stuff, and that some of the saints were resurrected. Okay, and then they walked around the streets of Jerusalem and people saw them. So the argument that they make for that is they say, look, that's a major event. That's an event that someone else surely would have recorded that event. And since there are no, historical, like Roman historical documents of that, then of course it did not happen. My traditional line of argumentation was to say, look, around that same time, I think it was like 77 AD, Mount Vesuvius erupted, burying an entire metropolitan city. And there's only one surviving writing of that event. Now, surely thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people witnessed that event. And yet, today, 2,000 years later, we only have one letter recorded. Okay. Now, that's my traditional line of argumentation. And basically, what I use that for is to say, look, that is known as an argument from silence, to say that if something's silent on the matter in a historical sense, that it didn't happen. Well, that's actually false. That's an argument from science, and that's a silence, and that is known as a logical fallacy. But I'm going to go ahead and flip the script a little bit, and we're going to talk about the splitting of the moon. Okay, so a lot of Muslims claim that Muhammad prayed or whatever, and the moon was split. So let's talk about the populace, first of all, of Jerusalem at the time of the resurrection, and how many people there were that would have been around to write about it. All right. So according to the Roman historian Tacitus, the population of Jerusalem was about 600,000 people. Right. So that's a pretty good amount of people. And that's fine, but and only one person wrote about it, which was Matthew. Same kind of deal when we talk about Pompeii. There's a larger population, and there's a lot more people who witnessed it, and a lot more people who would have seen it, and yet still we only have one writing of it. And does that mean that it didn't happen? No, it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It just means that there was only one person who wrote about it, or if multiple people wrote about it, only one surviving line of evidence from a historical standpoint is still surviving. But at the time of Muhammad and the moon splitting in half, the world population was somewhere between 3 and 5 million. It may have been more. I need to double check on that. But at any rate, we can all agree that more people had the opportunity to bear witness to the entire moon splitting in half than there would be people witnessing the saints resurrecting from the dead and entering the streets of Jerusalem. So, from a historical standpoint, if Muslims are going to apply the same logic that they're applying to say that Matthew is just making this up, they need to apply that same logic to the fact that the moon split in half. Okay, do we have any surviving writings from anyone else besides the Islamic source that the moon had split in two? Any witnesses? Well, no, apparently we don't. The only witnesses are the Muslim scripts and the hadith that would bear witness to that happening. So if you're going to use the same line of argument to say that no way, shape, or form could these saints have resurrected, because if they had, more people would have written about it, I'm going to go ahead and say that's a special kind of stupid, because the moon splitting in half is an even more large and cosmological events happening, and more witnesses could have sat down and written about it. And that's 600 years later, by the way, which means that there was a lot more people who had access to pen and paper, so to speak, so that they could have wrote it down. But guess what? Nobody did. right? So if you want to go ahead and deny that the moon was split and deny that the resurrection happened at the time of Jesus' death, that's okay. At least you're being consistent with your argument. But if you're going to use double standards and you're going to apply those double standards, um, I have nothing else to say to you besides that is a special kind of stupid. Have a good one, guys. Jesus loves you.